speak the truth. And a lot of times it's painful in the moment. But if you truly are friends with somebody and you truly want the best for somebody, the best means you want the best for the best part of them. And a lot of times that means you're going to have an uncomfortable conversation in this moment so that long term they can live a better life.
Absolutely. Being willing to speak your truth, not being afraid of what people think, not being afraid of the negative emotion that comes on. Once again, like you said, you have to sacrifice that short-term comfort, knowing of the long-term benefits that pay off. You got to be willing to hold your ground and stand strong. If you're not willing to stand strong, you're not going to be able to stand strong for yourself. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 33rd episode of the Conscious Cast. I'm your host, Cal, along with my other boy, Jay. Yeah. Right. So, we had a very interesting night last night, and my man Jay took some great photos of me with some banging glasses. Okay,
you look phenomenal.
Stop. You look phenomenal.
No, you look phenomenal.
Stop.
No, stop.
No, we had a good time last night. Jay is alive, and that's what matters. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it is currently 10:38 on a Friday morning. Beautiful day outside. And
it's beautiful.
Once again, we are inside. So
That's okay.
we are balls deep in the here and now.
We are balls deep
as
in the
always. And so today we're going to be talking about just speaking your truth, right? Like really not being afraid to say what you want to say. And I want to preface this right now, okay? This doesn't mean you go out and say whatever the hell you want, right? That doesn't mean if you're feeling like having some hate speech in your life that you go out and do some hate speech. No, there's a reason why hate speech is illegal, right?
Yeah.
And so, but what I'm trying to say is, and this is coming from a guy who, for the most part, throughout my life, you know this, like I'm very much a social chameleon, and I sacrifice my own beliefs for the sake of others' beliefs. Like I still hold those beliefs, but I don't externalize them.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I very much take the background, right? I take the back seat, and I often don't get in the driver's seat, and I don't hold my ground when it's tough. And lately, I've been holding my ground, and this is not to say like I'm like in a negative way. Like this is just expressing how I truly feel. Because like when someone asks me how I feel, I'll often give like a kind of how I'm feeling, but I'll also like a little bit sugarcoat it in a sense to make them feel better. And that's just being honest. That's just me, because I don't in that moment in time I don't feel comfortable with expressing how I feel, because I don't want them to feel a certain way. And that's on me completely. Why is that? I don't know. That's just how it naturally is for me. But like we've said on this podcast so many times, we're all human. We all have mistakes. We all make mistakes, and we all have things we can work on, right? And so this is one of the areas that I have been trying to work on. And like the resident assistant job that we both have, It demands a lot of that. And like in certain situations, like don't get me wrong, like I can hold my ground completely. But when it's more so in those like slight situations that aren't as intense, where it's not as necessary to speak your truth, that I find it to be very hard. Yeah. And so kind of going off that, lately, I have been, like I said before, like holding my ground in situations, just really expressing how I feel, and not really deviating from like how I feel. Right. And so through this, I've been noticing, like I texted you about this the other day, I've been noticing a common pattern over these past couple of weeks that people have like slightly been treating me differently, differently from how they have been treating me in the past. Like their perception of me is starting to change. What they think of me is starting to change. And honestly, I've been feeling a lot of negativity with that. I'm not saying I've developed into a completely like negative state. All I'm saying is like, it's very interesting to see how, like I'm actually starting to say how I'm telling people I'm telling people how it is to the best of my abilities, right? Rather than telling them,
more like you're telling people what you feel rather than what they want to hear?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was getting at. Rather than what they want to hear. And so like before, what I would do is I would tell like a little bit of what they wanted to hear and a little bit of how I felt. Okay. But really now I'm just like, I'm putting all my cards on the table. I'm just like, I'm going to tell you how I feel in an obviously nice and communicative way, not just like in a dickhead way. Yeah. I'm doing it in a way that's not divisive, obviously, not leading to more chaos, not leading to more just negativity in general.
Right.
But I've noticed that people have been starting to treat me differently, and not in a crazy sense, but it's just been very interesting to see, because it's been a continual pattern over these past couple of weeks, and it's been causing me to like really, really think about and reflect on like, wow, am I just telling people what they want to hear constantly?
often,
And
yeah.
is this why people really like me?
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm not like challenging any of their beliefs. I'm not challenging, like, for example, for you, like when I'm around you, like you'll challenge me, right?
Yeah.
You'll question me, like,
Yeah.
damn straight. Like I told you I had a 4.0 and
Yeah.
you were like, why? It doesn't matter. Like,
Right.
you just took the complete opposite stance.
Yeah.
Like, wow, dude, that's like, one person would be like, wow, Cal, that's so cool. That's so great. You have a 4.0. You work so hard for that.
Yeah.
You'd be like, dude, that doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing that matters when it comes to that is that the other person knows that you're coming from a good place and can feel that you're coming from a good place. Yeah. But a lot of times when you tell people what they need to hear and not what they want to hear, regardless of the situation or whatever's going on, they don't like that. You know what I mean? Because if you're going throughout your entire life being a harmless puppy, meaning you can do no wrong, but the reason why everybody is loving you unconditionally is because you're so harmless, then that's not good for anybody.
Yeah.
It's not. Because the truth of the matter is we live in a world where not everybody is emotionally mature. Not everybody is
very true.
is conscious and stable with their thoughts and feelings and how they feel about themselves. And as a byproduct of that, when they hear things that they don't like to hear and that they don't agree with, they're not going to like you. They're not. And that's why the cliche comes up of, you're doing things right when you have a bunch of haters, or whatever flavor of that quote you want to say. It's the same meaning, which is if you're doing something with all you got and you're putting your own opinion into it, you're going to have people that disagree. Always.
Oh, for sure.
Always.
Yeah.
And when you get people that disagree, you're going to get people that disagree to the extreme and are assholes about it, and you're going to get people that maybe disagree strongly but are willing to have a conversation about it, and everything in between, And so that's, at least when you talk about it, that's what it comes into my mind, is like you've gone so much time experiencing the perspective of the harmless puppy.
I get what you're saying.
I'm not trying to...
No, of course, I understand. I'm
like,
going to kill you.
That's so mean of you to say.
Dude, really?
Yeah. No. No, but if you go around your whole life, just...
That was good. I like that.
I practice.
Yeah, so I'll be here all night.
No, but if you go
dive a little bit more deeper into that harmless puppy. I really like unpack that a little bit more. I really like that.
So when you do everything just to be liked from everybody in the moment, you become harmless.
Yeah.
Right? But being harmless comes with a great cost. Right? Because being harmless means that although everybody is happy with you in each moment, in the long term, they don't even understand the value that they're missing from you, right? A perfect example is the 4.0 thing, right? Is like, if I wanted to be the harmless puppy, I would have just said, oh, dude, that's really dope. Like, you must be working really hard for that, right? And it's not like I said it. I said, hey, man, like, I started questioning and poking and prodding a bit, like, hey, why do you have the 4.0? What makes you want to get good grades? And trying to figure out why you're spending a ton of your time and effort and energy into getting a 4.0. If I had instead just said, yeah, go for it, in the long term, total different consequences, right?
Never would have thought about it.
Right.
That seed wouldn't have been planted.
Right. But it's every conversation in life, If I had avoided temporary discomfort, I'm setting you up for long-term failure. And I'm leaving potential on the table for what I could have helped you with. And not even that, but the ripple effect can go on. It's like, maybe let's say you stop trying to get a 4.0 and you spend a lot more time producing content, and then you blow up and help millions of people's lives become better, right? That's just one example, right? But if I was the harmless puppy in that moment, that wouldn't have facilitated anything, right? Granted, that's an extreme, but maybe it's not. But like, my point is there's a difference between short term and long term. But a lot of times when you're so caught up in the harmless puppy short term and avoiding the temporary discomfort, people don't even comprehend the long term damage that it's doing to them. Just because you're playing the nice guy, you're playing the social comedian, the social chameleon.
I wish I was a social comedian. That would be nice.
Yeah, but if you're playing the harmless puppy, like the long-term negative effects are not seen. It's what's not seen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Dude, that is so odd, man. And it's like that is a picture perfect example of like, I hate to say it, but I got to be honest. Like, I do this every day, man. Like, it's bad. It's a bad habit of mine. It's like, and when I say it's an everyday thing, don't get it in your head like that I'm some super fake person. Like, I'll tell you, like, I'll express to you in a very nice way of how I feel, but I'm not always going to do that. And to some extent, I do it every single day. One, because I'm not willing to put that effort in to tell you how I truly feel. Yeah. And it does require a lot of effort. It does require a lot of mental energy because you know, like you said, it's going to come with some consequences, right? Yeah. Whether it be individuals disagreeing with you, whether it be just ripple effects within your friendship that you don't necessarily want to face. I totally get that. And I think in those type of situations, that's justified. Yeah. But when it really comes down to developing into a regular habit where you are, like me, for example, like where you sacrifice your own beliefs, right? Those core beliefs. I mean, you might still hold those beliefs, but what are beliefs if they're not externalized? You know, like what are beliefs if they're not actually used? You know, so in that sense, it's like why are you sacrificing your beliefs when you don't have to? You make the choice to do that, right? It appears as though you don't have the choice in those situations, and I know this from firsthand. It just feels like like you said, it's so much easier to be the harmless pussy. To be the harmless pussy. All right, to be the harmless puppy. Yeah. And it's when you take the long road, I guess you could say, or the hard road, you find the most benefit, right?
100%.
Because the hard road has the most obstacles. Yeah. The hard road has all these little nicks and nooks that you have to maneuver around and really learn. But if you take, like we were saying in the Cole episode, if you just stay on the path, right, and it's beautiful, right? It's got the town is, you know, has a nice paved way for all the people to walk on, right? But let's just say you have to get off the path, right? And you gotta get around to where maybe like your house is in the middle of the woods, and you have to get. I'm making this hypothetical so complicated. But you get you get what I'm getting at. Yeah. And I think if you're really able to, one, develop a habit where you can communicate in such a way that you could tell how you truly feel and tell how it is to the best of your abilities, right? I think that is such a valuable trait, right? Because imagine a society where everyone could do that, right? We're not sugarcoating anything. We're not exaggerating anything. Like, you could take this, for example, like in the gym. Like when I also... whether this be with like working out with Cole and my friend Dalton, like they'll ask me about like a form thing or like, or no, I'll take it. Like if they ask me about it, I'll tell them. Yeah. But if it's more so like me reaching out and being like, hey, do this, hey, do that, you know, like I think this would help you. I don't want them to feel like I'm exerting myself on them. I don't want to feel like I'm pushing myself on them like constantly. Like, I don't like that feeling. And I think that is good to some extent, but like if you know what they're doing is wrong and you're not telling them, I think that's on you because they're going to develop that into a habit.
Yes and no. I mean, again, do not cast pearls before swine. Yes. You don't want to continually try and give advice to people that aren't going to take your advice. That's good for absolutely nobody, counterproductive for absolutely everybody. But the thing that comes with that is like, you got to think about, if you're not telling somebody something, if you're not giving somebody advice or helping somebody out when they need the help because you don't want to feel the temporary discomfort of having that conversation, you are sacrificing the long-term growth for that other person and for yourself. Yeah. And that's selfishness. Yeah. Which is weird because it doesn't feel like it, because it feels like if I'm just kind in this moment and I'm the harmless puppy, then everything's going to be okay, and I'm the good guy, and everybody loves me. Yeah. But can you imagine if every single day and throughout every single conversation, there was a little thing over your head and it went off and signaled to them when you weren't telling them the truth and you were holding back, and it says, hey, by the way, I'm not telling you something that could totally change your life and help you grow to your full potential.
Oh, that's so true, bro.
But it's selfish, right?
It is.
Yeah. But we all do it.
Yeah, to some
We
extent.
all do it.
It's worse enough. Like, for example, I think I do it because, like I said before, like if you're trying to get out of like a conversation and like you just gotta like, nod your head along, like you gotta go somewhere, like that's justified.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it like where you're having a normal conversation and someone's like, yeah, dude, I just got fucking wasted like 5 days in a row, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah, bro. But I'm like, I don't drink at all. I don't smoke at all. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, that's that dissonance between like what your behaviors actually are and what you believe. Like, I consciously think, or no, I subconsciously don't drink or smoke, right?
Yeah.
But I subconsciously as well have the value that drinking and smoking is cool. What is that? That's really weird.
That was put there by somebody else.
Yes. I was like, wait a minute. Yes, but it's dependent on your environment, right?
Yeah.
And the people you're around, and so it's kind of like using that as an example and relating it back to, speaking your truth and being in the here and now.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with people that allow you to tell how you actually feel and express your truth, right?
It's huge.
Because like, for example, when I'm around people such as like just I have like different types of friends, and we talked about this before on the podcast. They have different interests than me. They have different things we normally talk about. Like, I'm not normally going to bring up meditation and self-growth and like having a proactive conversation like this. It's just not how we normally speak. And like I would love to, but that's just not the way it normally is. And if it happens, that's cool. But I think when it comes to situations like this, like where I can so much more freely express myself and where it is so much more normalized, there's such a difference there.
Yeah.
And that difference is so big because it allows you, when you're with the people that you're around, to truly speak what you are feeling.
Yeah.
And so I think with that, you're able to really foster a relationship. And when I say relationship, I don't mean like boyfriend, girlfriend only, like, friendship, parent relationship, you're able to, because if someone tells you how it is, right, like you said, they fix it in the now, they fix it like short term, they're more aware of it now, and they're able to gain that or start working towards that area that you pointed out. So take, for instance, like your bench press form, right? And your bench press form is pretty shitty, right? And someone tells you early on that your bench press form is like not the best, right? But if you start to develop that habit of having a better bench press form, like as you start bench pressing, before you know it, you'll have a good bench press form, instead of continually having that bench press form without them telling you what's wrong about your bench press form.
Right. Well, because it's like the thing that I think would help people like you in this situation that's tough internalize it is like there's no pain-free path. There's no pain-free path. Like, for example, the bench press. If you see granted, it's not like you're going to the gym and be like, oh, I know that what you can do to have better form.
Yeah.
Like, you're not being a fucking douche.
Yeah, that's too much.
Right. But it's like, let's say I'm at the gym and I'm using terrible form and it's my first time in the gym, whatever. And you and I are friends and you and I can talk to each other that way and we're comfortable that way. Like it's not black and white, but it's a situation what you should be saying to them. You should be giving them advice and you don't. What you're doing is just trading off the pain. That's all you're doing. Is like there can either be the temporary pain of me feeling embarrassed or me having to lower the weight because my form's bad, and the temporary pain of you feeling uncomfortable telling me and criticizing me on whatever, or the long-term pain of me having terrible form, maybe literally physical long-term pain because I'm not using the right form. And like it's not going to manifest itself in a very cookie-cutter way with everything, but the truth is what's ultimately going to allow people to grow. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like,
it sucks to hear, but
oh yeah, but there's no sucky free path. I wish there was. It sucks either way, but you can either have the pain of temporary discomfort or the pain of long-term inadequacy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, what would you rather have, short-term comfort, or would you be would you rather grow in the short term? So take, for instance, like video editing for something like, if I send a video to my like supervisor and they're like, Cal, I think you can improve on X, Y, and Z. I'm just like, oh, fuck me, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go back and do that. But like, the advice helps the video become so much better, right? It's like, yeah, I didn't want to go back and fix all this stuff,
Right.
but look how much better the rough draft was from the final product.
100%.
And this is, once again, getting those outside perspectives and being around people that'll really tell you how it is, you know. And I think
real friends,
exactly, and just real conversation, and not just, and like, honestly, man, like like a fake conversation is just telling people what they want to hear, you know. And it's like, if what you tell them happens to align with what they want to hear, then so be it. That should be a byproduct. But you should genuinely tell them how you feel. And my question to you is, like, what blocks people from not telling people?
Selfishness. It's the same thing that gets people to stay on the couch and eat Cheetos and not go to the gym.
Yeah.
The pain of temporary discomfort surmounted the long-term pain of actualizing your potential. That's all it ever is.
What's that? You think there's any fear involved?
Oh, yeah. Of course, there's never a black and white answer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
there's always a mix of bullshit with everything.
Yeah, gotcha.
But I don't know. For me, it's like, like you were saying with friends. For me, I don't consider you my real friend if you don't tell me what I need to hear and you just tell me what I want to hear. Like, if I have a girlfriend and I'm at the bar or at the club or whatever, and I'm fucking around and like flirting with other girls, and you're not the type of guy to come up to me and smack me in the face like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You're not my friend. If you're going to avoid the temporary discomfort of having that conversation with me, you're not my friend. Because friends want the best for the best part of their friends. They don't avoid temporary conflict or temporary discomfort. They don't sugarcoat bullshit to make me feel better in the moment and let me stumble and fail long term. That's not what real friends do.
Yeah.
Real friends want you to fucking succeed. And if they want you to succeed, they're going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Because telling you what you need to hear is unselfish. You're doing it for them. And not for nothing. Once you get in the habit of doing that, not only does it get easier, but you realize that you're making people's lives better. And that temporary discomfort, you understand, is a price that you have to pay because you can either pay it up front right now or you can have them pay it later.
That's so true, bro. That's like a play-by-play of my fucking like life right there. And it's like,
I just think it would be helpful. Like, granted, the irony, you have to, I think it would be helpful for you to give yourself, like, it's like your own little shot collar. Remind yourself that you're being selfish in those moments, right? Granted, yes, I don't think, because when it comes to things like, because the examples we're giving is like giving advice, you know? Like, when you hear somebody needs help and you know you should help them, give them the advice, don't hold back. You're leaving potential on the table and you're trading it off for temporary discomfort, right? But a lot of times, do not cast pearls before swine. Like, it doesn't mean that every single time you see somebody in a rough spot and you know what you could tell them that would help them and you are coming from a good place, that you still should tell them.
So should you only, okay, maybe I missed this in your past, what you just said, but should you only tell people how you really feel when they ask for it?
Yeah.
So even in the example of if you see your boy at the bar, like with like another girl?
Yes, but, okay, so I think we have to define what asking for it means. Because just because somebody needs the advice doesn't mean they're going to take it. So I think a better way to describe it than asking for it would be appropriate.
Okay.
Right? So if somebody asks you for it directly, like, hey, Cal, what should I be doing differently? And you know that, like, because even then, it doesn't mean appropriate, right? Because if somebody comes up to me, for example, and says, oh, I just keep running into these guys over and over. I keep running into the same shitty guys over and over again. All they do is play me, and they just hook up with me and then leave. Like, I just don't know what to do. Like, Jay, like, what do I do? And it's the same question over and over and over and over again. I'm going to be like, I'm not having this conversation with you. It's not appropriate for me to tell you that advice because I'm not going to cast pearls before swine. I'm not going to keep giving you the same advice over and over and over again because you know deep down you don't want to get better. And me giving you that advice is going to devalue my own word, even though you're asking for the advice. You're not asking for it. You want somebody to talk to vent to, which is totally different, right? And in that situation, it's not appropriate.
Yeah, it's almost as like in those situations, they're not even actually listening to you.
No, of course not.
And yeah, exactly like you said, it devalues your own word. It's like no matter what you say, it's not going to make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that's a big thing for me to take away. I mean, you already know this. For like everyone else to take away too. It's like finding that balance between, and like I said, since I've gotten this RA job, and I have become so much better at it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But it does get into situations like where if we're just having like a friendly conversation, that's when it gets tough.
Oh, yeah.
And like this is not a constant thing. This is not. It's like it happens a couple times a day.
Yeah.
But I do think I can improve on it.
100%.
But it is important to find that difference because I in my life, and like I said this before, like I don't like pushing my beliefs on anybody. And even if it comes to like veganism, where I feel like individuals have a moral obligation to be vegan, I'm still not even going to do that. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Right.
But there are other, like, for instance, vegans out there that be like, listen, these animals don't have a choice.
Right.
Okay? And we don't have to get into like veganism right now.
No,
okay?
that makes sense.
Like these animals don't have a choice. Therefore, it's on us. It's our ability. Since eating meat is not a necessity, since you can go to the store and get something else besides meat, it is on you to make that choice because they don't have the choice. They are forced into this. Like, and I know I just went on a little tangent there, but you can kind of see that right then and there, that you have to be careful with forcing your beliefs on other people.
Yeah.
Because if you force your beliefs on other people, one, they're not going to listen.
Yeah.
And two, this kind of goes hand in hand with this. So you're not going to make any progress. And you're not, I mean, if your goal is to further your own agenda, right, rather than actually genuinely helping someone, right, I think that's when, I guess, people's motives and depending on the situation, like you said, it's not black and white, but that's when it gets, that's when advice can become hostile. That's when people can be like, what the fuck are you saying, dude? Like, I have just been, like, if someone asks me about like their form or something like that, then I'll give them advice. But if I'm like constantly beating in their head, be like, no, dude, do this, they're eventually going to get annoyed and they're going to be like, Cal, get the fuck out of my face. I don't want you in my life anymore. Like, you know, and it's that timing and appropriateness that you really got to take into consideration because, like you said, if people really want help, they'll come to you with help. And that's kind of like the logic I use in my own life. But also, in the same sense, you sometimes got to be willing to put that first step forward and be like, hey, man, you really got to start doing this. For instance, for you, like, you never said it to me directly, but we were, like, filming in my room for the podcast, you know? Wasn't the best setup. It was decent. It was okay. It wasn't the best. You were like, nah, let's get into this fucking podcast room. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, look at this. Like the channel's doing better than it ever has, right? We're making better content than we ever had before. And you challenge me and you push me to be better. Right. You challenge me to be better. And this is like one of the things I'm grateful for, like for having you in my life, you know, because I can already tell that like sometimes I get trapped in my own comfort zone. And with me getting trapped in my own comfort zone, I'm not moving anywhere. Like, I'm not making any progression. Like, yeah, sure, I'll stay in my room, get some lighting, you know. I mean, like, it's just like a whole completely level up, you know? Yeah. And it's like, as you start to surround yourself with more people that, one, have the similar interests as you, and two, are willing to put the effort in to challenge you in a positive way and in a proactive way.
Hold you accountable.
Exactly. Hold you accountable. You'll be responsible too at the same time, even though in the moment it may be uncomfortable. In the long term, you'll see so much more effects. And you'll look back
100%.
And you'll reflect and you'll be like, God damn, I fucking love you.
Yeah.
And
100%.
Bro, I love you. I'm getting that already. But no. But no, like once again, man, I am truly grateful for you.
I'm truly grateful for you too, brother, for real.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing. It's like you've opened up a lot of doors. You've opened up a lot of doors in my mind, like for real. But one thing I wanted to touch on that you were talking about was like when you were talking about pushing your agenda on other people.
Yeah.
And because the immediate thing that I thought of is if you get into a situation, whether it's you're the one that's doing the talking or somebody else is doing the talking, and I worded that poorly. If you get into a situation where somebody is trying to force their beliefs on you, then you need to understand that what they're doing isn't trying to help you. Because when you try to help somebody, you tell them what they need to hear, not what you want to say.
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh, yeah.
And that's where motives really, really matter. Right? Because if you find yourself trying to force your beliefs on somebody, you're not telling people what they need to hear. You're telling them what you want to say for your own secondary payoff. But that's not, again, you're
It's manipulation.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're putting on a mask that's saying I'm here to help you, and that's what I'm telling you.
True.
But the reality is, I want to feel significant, or I want more people to join my cult, right? And that's the reality of why you're saying what you're saying. So it's like, at that point, if somebody is forcing their beliefs on you in any way, shape, or form, are you really trying to help? You know what I'm saying?
No, you're not. You're not. Yeah, you're trying to manipulate reality to fit how you want things. And you said it perfectly. Like you're putting on a mask, right? You're like, hey, I could help you, right? But if people don't know that you're wearing a mask, right? They'll get tricked.
Yeah.
And with them getting tricked, I mean, I don't know, like what type of cult they're joining. I mean, God forbid it's something decent.
Yeah.
But they just go off secondhand sources. There's no primary independent creativity.
Oh yeah.
And with that, that's like you're letting people in a way have real estate in your mind, right?
Oh yeah.
And you're just basing that. And I remember like when I first got into spirituality, like spiritual soul guy literally changed my life, like in a positive way, both like entertainment and he got me into spirituality. I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
But I remember like when it came to COVID and situations like that, I would always like sounds so bad, dude. But it's the truth. But I have changed now. I would take his advice and like perspective. I would value that more than like a doctor who has been in like a surgeon room, who has gone through school for like X amount of years, compared to this guy meditating out in his backyard. Like, and don't get me wrong, like I've said this before, Spiritual Soul has a great spiritual perspective, right? And he's got a good perspective on like society and how it works. But when it comes to like things like vaccines, when it comes to things like the stuff like that, like the Matrix, like his logic is very faulty and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right. But that is a pitch perfect example of how you can get stuck in dogma.
Oh yeah.
Right. And whether this be dogma in religion, whether this be, I remember like one of the first times I talked to you, you were like, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with everything in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
I'm willing to deviate from the Bible. Like, yes, I still believe in God, right? And I still believe in, like
Christianity.
Christianity, exactly. Thank you for that. I was like, I'm walking on tippy toes right now. But yeah, I still believe in Christianity, and I'm not denying it. But like, you have that ability to take a step back and question things and be willing to express how you feel. Because if you were to go to a church and you're like, I don't necessarily believe in everything in the Bible. Like, I have my own opinion about things. Like, I have my own perspective. And to be fair, there are different ways of interpreting the Bible. But like, let's just say you deviate from like a common. Maybe we should move this away from religion. But like you deviate from like a consensus opinion, right?
Yeah.
Like the narrative in media, right? And you want to speak your truth, right? And really get outside that dominant mold. Yeah. You're going to be looked at as like a psychopath, right?
Yeah.
Like. I just like with this whole pandemic, with this whole like past couple of years when society's been flipped on its head, right? I have really also found me being able to speak my truth. Like when it came to things in the media, like I was willing to really question it and really see through it, like see their agenda. And Russell Brand does such a good job of this. Joe Rogan, just different types of guys like that take an outside perspective, like Ben Shapiro. Like I don't agree with all their views,
right?
But they take an outside perspective from the dominant narrative. And so with this, they're offering up, they recognize the mainstream media, right? And they recognize the dominant consensus opinion. They're like, okay, yeah, that's what everyone already knows. Let's search for things that people don't know, right? And let's see if the things that they don't know question the already dominant narrative at hand.
Right.
And so with that, they are looked at as conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
But they're just simple guys wanting to have an open, honest conversation.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're not trying to push an agenda.
Right.
I mean, maybe to some extent they are, but not nearly as much as the mainstream media.
Right.
The mainstream media will hold out certain facts. Look at natural immunity, for example. Look at different presidents that have look at what they have done to promote certain presidents over others with big business, right? There's countless examples of this, right?
Yeah.
They just prioritize certain information over others in order to get across the agenda they want.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to like, is your intent selfish or is it selfless?
Yeah.
Like if you keep asking yourself why you're trying to influence somebody to be a Christian, or why you're trying to influence someone to be vegan, or whatever it may be, it's like, is your intent selfish or is it selfless?
Yeah, true.
And that's how you know if A, your intentions are pure, but B, if what you're doing is actually making a positive difference.
Yeah. Is it like, and I come back down to this example. For like, there's these militant vegans, right? They're willing to go to war for this shit.
Have you seen that woman on? She's like,
oh yeah, on TikTok.
Eat your vegetables.
Yes, I have actually seen that. Yeah, but they're not willing to have an open, honest conversation with, like, for instance, like Cole and I are planning on doing like a vegan carnivore type of thing, right? Like, do I disagree with the carnivore diet? Yeah, completely. But am I willing to have a conversation with them, talk about the ethics, the health
100%.
of the diet and like the ethics of eating meat and etc. Yeah, like why not? We're not going to get hostile. We're going to have a civil conversation about it.
Emotional maturity.
Exactly, which a lot of people lack, unfortunately.
Too many people.
Yeah. But it comes back down to like these militant vegans. Like, just using this as an example. Okay, I'm not saying this happens in all groups. Any type of political party, any type of just conversation, everything. Okay,
Literally everything.
and then so pretty much. I don't know what the fuck I just did, but anyways, so it's like these militant vegans, right? Like you said, they manipulate reality and others they want this, they want this set of beliefs, this way of life, this way, right? Which they're never gonna get, but unfortunately, because there's always gonna be people that deviate. But regardless, it brings me back down to the question: are you, like you said, selfless or selfish? Right? Are they doing it really for themselves? Are they doing it for the cause of veganism? Are they doing it for like? Okay, I should rephrase that. I fucked that up. Are they doing it for themselves or the animals? Right.
Right. 100%.
And a lot of times, I don't think it's for the animals.
Yeah.
I think they get stuck in these dogmas, and they get stuck in these beliefs, and they know that it's a very hot, intensive issue. And people like drama.
Oh, yeah.
Look at fucking reality TV, bro. Anything that they can get their hands on to cause some commotion, to cause some intense debate, it's interesting. People love it, right? But as time goes on, this is what they become accustomed to.
Right.
They'll go outside. They'll go to like KFC or something. They'll make some very valid points.
Yeah.
But their reasons for doing it are wrong.
Right.
Their goal is not to help animals. Their goal is to help themselves.
Yeah.
And their goal is to further their own agenda,
Yeah.
right? And cause things such as intense discussion, intense division between individuals for the sake of their own pleasure.
Yeah.
And with that's wrong.
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
Because like it's in my eyes, that's the worst, because you're masking selfish intents with the front of I want to help you, which is the exact opposite of what is happening in reality. Because if you're trying to force veganism on people, your intent is not what your intent is not only not what you're claiming it to be, your intent is the exact opposite of what you're doing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and not for
yeah.
nothing, when you do try and force your beliefs on people, that's typically when people run the opposite way, right? Like you see it with parents. Have you ever seen? Everybody knows, like parents that are super super strict, and then their kids are like the super bad ones that are always freaking doing cocaine in college and like doing the stupid shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You ever notice that?
Finally have that freedom.
When you force, usually you get the exact opposite of what you want.
Very true.
And it's the opposite of building influence and rapport with people, and which is, again, the irony of having a negative intent masked with the idea of, oh no, I'm trying to save the earth. I'm trying to save the animals. Oh no, I think people should just be Christians, you know?
Yeah.
And then people will fight in the name of God and kill each other in the name of God.
Yeah. That's never happened before.
Ironic, isn't it?
Ironic. Yeah, dude. It's like, oh man. Yeah, I had this idea and I forgot it, but like what you said was so true. It's like, okay, yeah, I know what I was gonna say. He's like Earthling Ed, like one of the best vegans on YouTube. That like when he has conversations with people, he asks them about their experience and like for instance, like why you asked me about like why do I have a 4.0? Like people really have never thought about why they eat meat, right? And like once again, I'm not trying to like convince you to think of like.
No, I have a lot.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
I have a lot.
Yeah, we can have a discussion about that.
No, I know why I ate meat.
Okay, but like for instance, like an example is like. People have never really reflected on it. They don't know why. They just rely on it because it's just normal, right? They don't know why. They're not willing to deviate based on it just being a norm.
Yeah.
But like with Earthling Ed and like just taking him as example, he brought up I think he was in a debate, and he does it for the right reasons for sure, 100%. There's no doubt about it. In a debate, he was like debating a farmer about like the ethics of veganism and like him being a farmer. And he's the farmer was just like, what do you think? We should just like ban meat? Like, and he goes, no, I just want people to think this, like, look at this, like objectively think it through. We don't need to ban meat because that's just going to cause more commotion. Right. Like that's just going to lead in the opposite direction. Yeah. He's like, I want people to genuinely reflect. And obviously he thinks, you know, people, if they think through it, they'll be like, oh wow, I should be vegan. You know, like I should not eat meat. He's like, I think if just people are more conscious and more aware of all the information around them, you know, they'll come to the conclusion that eating meat is not necessary. You know, we don't have to. Yeah. And so it's that difference of being willing to have a conversation, being willing to let people, being understanding that people have the cognitive ability to come to conclusions on their own. Yes, it's going to take effort, but they have that ability, right? And a lot of times they get lost in the effort. Yeah. And when they come to their own conclusions, they came to their own conclusions. They like those conclusions more than anything else, 100%. Right? And so rather than people sticking things in their head, now they can actually explain the logic, the reasoning behind it, rather than just memorizing and just reciting just, I don't know, secondhand sources that people have given to them. Yeah.
No, 100%. Yeah. I mean, because like, especially when you're at a point where like, let's say for example, you want me to be a vegan, and we have a conversation about it. I tell you why I don't think it's a good idea. You tell me why I think it's a good idea. We express our opinions. Nothing changes. Yeah. What's the best way for you to continue to influence me to, whether it's be a vegan or just the bigger picture, be a good person?
I think
be a positive impact. What's the best way for you to do that?
So I think if it comes down to, like, let's just say, okay, obviously we hold different views, right? Yeah. Like, okay, like you want to continue eating meat, and we've had a conversation about this, and it's going nowhere. Right. But we still want to be friends. I think we have to respect that, right? I think we have to just be like, listen, like, I think you should be doing that. Like, let's just say you want me to keep eating meat, right? You want to try and convince me to be eating meat. And I'll get to the positive impact part in a second. Yeah. I think we have to respect our differences, right? Yeah. Which is a necessity if we want, because we can't just take like that one little instance and apply like, oh, you're a meat eater, you're a terrible person. Like, fuck you, bro. Yeah. Like, no. Like, yes, I disagree with that, but it doesn't have to be that intense, 100%. Right? It doesn't have to be like this huge, because people get their emotions wrapped up in it. They're just like, they can become so attached to it. And that becomes the filter through which they see the other individual, right? And they're not able to actually see that person as a person, right? Yeah. Objectively know who they are and understand why they're holding the views that they are. No, 100%. And will they come to that conclusion if they want to eat meat? And Sure, maybe. And like I understand some things have to be pressed more than others. Like it's once again not a black and white issue. Almost nothing is. But I think through you respecting each other's beliefs, I think with that you're able to still be a positive impact because you're still able to have this relationship with each other.
Yeah.
But I think also, like, if you're having that willingness to be, because for instance, like with veganism, I still have, like, I'm subscribed to Dr. Bakley, who's like the father of the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
And he holds a great deal of perspectives about like mainstream media. Like we hold a lot of the same like holistic health type of perspectives, right? But if I just took that entire of him just being a carnivore, yes, I disagree with it. And I don't like the biased perspective he promotes. Let's just say I didn't pay attention to him. I would be missing all this other information,
100%.
right? And that's like a very good parallel to what I said before. It's like if you just like, if all I see is you is just a meteor, right? Or just like whatever trait or example as just that. Just like, yeah, bro, you're a fucking pussy. I don't want to see you. But like you offer so much more value than just that one singular area. And I think just with that respect, with you being more aware of like, listen, just because they eat meat doesn't mean they're a terrible human being.
100%.
Okay? I think with that, and it depends on the person, depends on all this type of crap, but like that will allow you to be such a more positive individual and move towards things if you have the right individual around you.
Yeah, and the thing that I find all the time, and I think it's Jordan Peterson that said this. It was when you go into interactions with people, assuming you know everything that they're gonna say, you fuck yourself, right? Yeah. Because even if you're going into an interaction with somebody who you disagree with, who you have opposite opinions on, who you think is a complete moron, and they damn well might be a complete moron, even if 49 out of the 50 things that they're going to tell you is completely dispensable and stupid and you don't need to hear it, that one thing is all you need to get better. And if you don't go into those interactions with anybody with an open mindset towards, I don't care who you are, what your opinions are, what you think, there is some way, shape, or form that you might be able to add value to my life. That's how you get better in life. Because if you go into every interaction, like, I'm only going to listen to Cal when I talk to Cal, and I'm going to take everything he says as the gospel, but then when I talk to somebody else, I'm going to completely ignore everything they say, you're not going to get better.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's a trap so many people fall into because like they don't want to hear it, right? So like you're liberal, but and so you refuse to take anything that Trump says, or you're conservative, so everything Biden says is stupid. It's like that's ignorance and immaturity. Yeah, like, that's all that is.
Exactly. Like once again, there's so many examples of this, like where you just like look at the mainstream media and you see like the COVID scoreboard, as I like to say it, and it's like. They don't have it up anymore, unfortunately. But you'll just dismiss it, right? And like, to be fair, for a good reason. But like, what if I just didn't pay attention to the mainstream media? Like, I'm probably missing out on a decent amount of information that's true. Yeah, they're spinning it. Yeah, they have an agenda. But like, I'm sure you should take their perspective into consideration with your own. Right? Why not? Like, I'm sure if you're looking at outside sources that have less of gatekeepers gatekeeping their media as opposed to the mainstream media, there's also going to be holes in that game as well too.
100%.
So it's really having that balance and really understanding that people don't know everything, right? Exactly like you said. Once again, like Spiritual Soul, he refers to people that aren't conscious as bots, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, like a lot of other spiritual gurus, such as Eckhart Tolle, as you know, he refers to individuals as being unconscious, but he doesn't do it as like, oh, that's all they are. They're unconscious. Like, I feel like with a lot of spiritual individuals on YouTube, they're like, oh, they're bots. Like, they don't know what the hell's going on. They're NPCs. They're just walking around, like they're not real human beings. Like, that's just a bunch of conjecture. It's just a bunch of opinion. You're like, you don't know that. Like, and it's like, I used to go into conversations and not be willing to speak about deep shit and spiritual shit because I thought people weren't spiritually aware, and for the most part, they're not. But they're not. But they, like, a lot of people are willing to have these conversations, and if you're not willing to have those conversations, you're not going to plant the seed that might sprout into a fucking tree.
100%. I agree with that, but the at least for me, but I also think we're on opposite ends of that spectrum. But at least for me, I found myself a lot of times in a spot where, especially once I started working on self-improvement and started getting into spirituality and things of that nature, that I found myself constantly trying to plant seeds where there wasn't even soil. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%. That was me too.
Where it's like,
100%.
oh my God, I feel so enlightened. I feel so
okay. Yeah, definitely.
I feel like I know so many things that could help so many people. And so I go around, I'm like, listen, like you need to listen to me. This shit is crazy.
Yeah.
Like just wake up early, meditate, journal, exercise. Like your life will be so much better. You go around saying that to 1,000 people and only one of them listen. How are you going to value your own opinions? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You'll think you're superior to other people, and it's like spiritual soul is just like, no. I understand everyone's equal. Those people are bots.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what? Like, such a hypocrite. But like, no. Once again, he's got a great spiritual perspective.
100%. No, for sure.
Dude, sometimes that dude is just off on some type of ledge. But it's so true, because if you advocate for one thing, like, oh no, we're all equal, but then you speak down to other people in another instance.
Are you?
Yeah, it's like what the heck, man? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a great place to wrap up this episode.
Wrap this bad boy up.
Wrap this bad boy up. Okay. So I think, any concluding thoughts that you'd like to?
Speak the truth.
Speak the truth.
Speak the truth.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's painful in the moment.
Yeah.
But if you truly are friends with somebody and you truly want the best for somebody, the best means you want the best for the best part of them. And a lot of times that means you're going to have an uncomfortable conversation or an uncomfortable interaction in this moment so that long term they can live a better life.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And listen, people, you're looking at an example right here of and listen, like we said earlier, everyone does this to some extent.
Everybody does.
But I do it to a higher extent than other people.
No, I suck more.
Listen, you don't understand. No, but I do it more than other people, at least in my opinion. Right. And once again, it just comes down to being willing to speak your truth, not being afraid of what people think, not being afraid of the negative emotion that comes on, right? Because once again, like you said, you have to sacrifice that short-term comfort, knowing of the long-term benefits that pay off. Right? And that is just so true, man. You got to sacrifice that. You got to be willing to say it. You got to be willing to hold your ground and stand strong.
100%.
Right? Because if you're not willing to stand strong, you're not going to be able to stand strong for yourself, right? And you're going to lose yourself because you're not holding your own beliefs. And like I said earlier, if you're not willing to hold your own beliefs, how are they going to be externalized, right? And I'm sure in some extent they will be able to. But this doesn't have to be some type of, crazy thing where you go out and you just hold your ground in front of everyone, right? Find the right balance, find the appropriate time when people ask you, right? The appropriate situations, in the right manner, to the right extent. And you'll find, at least how I've grown from someone that has just completely not wanted to express their opinions in situations to someone who's actually okay at doing it, right? That you'll find so much growth, and you'll find a lot of intrinsic satisfaction because you're being your authentic self. 100%. And with all that being said, love yourself because I love you. Stay
handsome, baby.
And have a great day, guys. Love yourself because I love you. And we're clocking out.
Peace.
Peace.